Guys, thank you so much again for joining us here on Blab. This is yesterday. The last couple of days have been really great, and I had a lot of people been asking me offline, about different things. And one of the topics that came up was talking about hashtags. So I thought today we'd do a Blab, and we've had some really great marketers and really great business people that really understand how to use particularly hashtags, how to use them in business in a really effective way. So I wanted to invite everybody. Well, no, actually, first I want to say thank you to everybody who's been a part of our Blabs the last couple of days and today. And then just really want to say also, I do keep a seat open. So if you have something to contribute, or you feel like you want to ask a question and get some, feel free to go in, and if you have a picture, I'll probably let you in. If you don't, if you're just an egg, I probably won't let you in. I prefer to know who we're going to be letting in. So because we do record these shows and we do provide these for everybody offline, after we do those on the replays, we make them available on our YouTube channel, as well as our website and jonathantripp.com. We're going to be uploading a bunch of these after I get done editing them. So guys, thank you guys so much. But today I really want you to be thinking about hashtags in these three concepts, okay? Hashtags really are not a place for you just to kind of throw everything you have and put them all in and just really hope that something sticks. Guys, that's one of the worst ways to do it. But I really did, and I've already reiterated this on Periscope, but I'll say it again. I want you to be thinking of a brand and campaign hashtag, okay? These are the overarching topics. These are the overarching searchable content hashtag feed things that are going to allow people to find you and recognize you as a brand. I also want you to be thinking separately as a different category on how to use hashtags. I want you to be thinking about a content hashtag, okay? I want you to be thinking about those. Those are the hashtags that promote your product, a lifestyle, maybe an event that you're at, or a place that you are, like a city or a town or a state, or maybe even like a country, like wherever you are. I mean, think of it like this: if you ever visit Antarctica, what kind of a cool Instagram picture would that be? Made it hashtag Antarctica. I mean, how many people are going to be doing that? And again, the whole point is that you're promoting the content of the picture rather than necessarily the brand specifically. Okay. And then the other one I want you to think about is using trending hashtags as a way to bring your business right into what everybody's already talking about. And again, it has to be appropriate because otherwise I just consider it to be spam. All right. So those are the things that are going on. That's what I know. And that I want to try to focus our conversation in those three, at least the use of them. Okay. And I on our Periscope show, I was like, hey, does everybody have a Twitter account? And kind of, pretty much the answer is yes, and pretty much the same is here. But then I asked, how many of you guys have Instagram accounts? And a number of people just start, they like, absolutely. So, that was a really encouraging thing to see that we can take this knowledge and this use of hashtags, both from Twitter, kind of where it really started, over to Instagram, which is relatively speaking, it's a newer platform. I think it's very well established. Facebook did a really good job of picking it up, and now they're implementing a lot of different search features and in different ways to use it. But they're also kind of giving a little bit more narrow guidelines. And now they've added on promotion scopes. And if you notice that a lot of those promotion scopes, look how they do it, because those are really big brand name companies that put a lot of research in. Look how they structure those promoted IG pictures. Okay, see what kind of hashtags that they use, and maybe see how they don't use them. I guarantee you're not going to see a major brand putting out an Instagram picture with 30 hashtags in it, because it just doesn't make sense. Now, Madeline, okay, I know that you're coming on. I would love to coming on. If you're using Safari trying to get on Blab, I hear that it doesn't work. Okay, so if that's the case, then just do me a quick favor, refresh. I will absolutely let you back in. Thank you, and just for you guys to know, Madeline, she was on our Periscope show. She just joined us this morning in Periscope, and I invited her to come on over to Blab this morning. So why don't you hop out, Madeline, and then refresh, and then try to get back in and see if you can get back in. It'd be really great. Okay, so when we're talking about brand and campaign hashtags, I want you guys to be thinking like this, right? The brand hashtag is really the who you are, okay? Hey, Leanne, it's good to see you guys. The brand hashtag is really who you are. It's your name. Coca-Cola does it. Coca-Cola does it, like McDonald's, Nike does it, all these really brand names that actually use social media and things like that. They have a presence and they have a hashtag, and a bunch of people were like, oh yeah, hashtag this, hashtag that. And so are you on? Let's see if you're on. Okay. I'll let you kind of hang out for a minute or two, make sure we can hear you too. You want to make your hashtag very specific to your brand. It includes, if your brand is like McDonald's, and it's hashtag McDonald's. So whatever your brand is, then be a part of that. Madeline, are you going to join us today, or hashtags on website? Some say it's okay and works, and some say it doesn't. Okay, so yes, think of it like this: hashtags on a website are more, and I have my friend David on here. He's way more of the expert on that. But in generally speaking, hashtags on a website, think of them more like tags. Use them as part of the tagging system. Or the category. You wouldn't use the a hashtag in like a blog post. You wouldn't do like hashtag having a great day today, because that's just not how you use it. So anyway, I would say making the brand hashtag as part of what the whole thing that you're trying to communicate. Okay, communicate your brand, communicate a campaign. Okay, and I think that's a really important part of it. Like for instance, I use Scope with John as a way to advertise, or way to be able to make my Periscope searchable. Okay, and that's really the way that you would want to. Now, I'm going to share this. I mean, how many of you guys, if you guys have ever used hashtags, but didn't do the research on it? Okay, and by research, I mean, it's really important when you're choosing a campaign, you got to do the research. All right, you absolutely have to do that research in order to do it, because if you don't, you're going to end up either using somebody else's, and because you don't know exactly, maybe they're already known for it. Like I did research for Scope with John, and they had been used a couple months ago, but then they stopped using it. And so I really jumped all over that. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to use this. So when people do a search for John, Scope with John, they can find me on on the Twitter. I don't really use it that much on Instagram, but it will be a case that we'll do. It sounds like anyway. All right. Well, what do you guys think? Social as a means of establishing a conversation around a marketing brand campaign. Yeah. And that just means that it's a created keyword, as opposed to and the longer that you have them, it's just like a search. It's like putting a search in an SEO, or in your search bar, for as you hop on Google. Okay, so using hashtags in those ways, using it for the brand. Okay, using it for a campaign, and it doesn't mean that like there's a formula. Hey, Kanto, thank you for joining. It's not like you have to put restorable living, Scope with John, coffee time. You don't have to like use every single one of these in order to be able to make your presentation searchable and things like that. Okay, so basically what that means is that when you do your research, look to see who else is using it. Okay, that's the first thing. Look to see how you can use it. How easy is it to type? If you use like a lot of little abbreviations and codes, it tends to be very difficult to use it. So you want to make it something that's very easy. So for me, we would use restorable living when we're posting things about restorable living, or we use Scope with John if I'm going to do something very specific like scoping. And that's very different than if I take a picture of me out on my deck drinking a cup of coffee. Okay, that's not necessarily, I'm promoting maybe restorable living as like kind of like maybe a lifestyle brand or something like that, but it's not the same as when I would say, if you're out at a conference or an event or something like that, and you're promoting that brand or that event as a brand. Sometimes the events are the actual brands. Okay, you just want to use it appropriately, but you think of it in those tiers where you do the brand and the campaign. you have a trending type of hashtag, and you have the actual content. Do a little bit of mixing. It's not a formula. It's not like think of it more like maybe like writing a sentence. There are certain aspects to it, but you don't always do this and then this and then this, and then suddenly magically everything happens and you've written a book. It just doesn't work like that. There are different ways to use the hashtags. And I think as far as how to pick them, I think there's some really great ways on how to do them. First, you really do want to use it to leverage. You really do want to use it to leverage the content that you're sharing. Okay, and I kind of had made this kind of cited this before as particularly when it comes to tweets. I think hashtags. Tweets with hashtags receive 2 times double the engagement as opposed to those without any. So guys, it's really important for you to use a hashtag that's appropriate, even if it's just a content a hashtag, something that just tells you what that specific tweet is about. Very short in it, that the lifespan of that tweet can be very short, but it just needs to be very direct to it, as opposed to doing like a campaign where you've really thought about it, you've set it out, and you do all of these tweets or Instagram pictures or whatever the messages are that are getting sent out. They're a part of a larger idea, so you're linking them together by using that conversation, and that's what David was talking about. Confluent Forums. Okay, if you guys look at, and by the way, if you guys haven't already, follow David. He's a real expert in his field, and I would just really encourage you guys to start making those connections, start adding the followers. Okay. One of the things we think of, have you guys ever thought of using an emoji as a hashtag? Flip it around so it's slash and then Q. But I will answer your question. Can you copyright a hashtag? I'm sure, because you can copyright a lot of stuff. I don't think it's worth the effort. It's like think of like hashtags kind of like think of it kind of like a trending topic. Okay, you may end up having like this trending topic that's gonna like surge. Like Jimmy Fallon did one the other day where he how he does on his late night show. He talks about he puts a hashtag out, right? And I think every week or something like that, he does a different one. And even one that, because the show has such a big audience, the hashtag he chose for that week is like funny things to say or experiences or things to write out. That hashtag he chose for that week actually started to trend because so many people were using it. Okay, you wouldn't want a copyright hashtag as you want lots of people to use it. Yeah, and that's a good point. I don't think it's worth the effort because I think the hashtags go away fast enough that it's not worth going through all the effort establishing and all the copyright issues and stuff like that. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it really will. I don't think it'll work. Now, one of the guys, I'm just going to mention this as we always think about hashtags on Twitter. We think of hashtags on Instagram, and then there's the hashtag on Facebook, which quite honestly, I just think it's weird because they don't really integrate. It doesn't seem very Facebook. It seems very Twitter. Where you can just you use a word to link a conversation, as opposed to in Facebook where where the conversation is listed. It's more of like a forum or a group where there's like a thread and they're all together and you can see them. But one of the reasons why Facebook does or institute or brought in hashtags is one, because a lot of people were sharing in media from different spots, so they wanted to be able to have that. Be able to use that hashtag as part of their search engine, and that's really where Facebook uses hashtags, which is doing that, using those with using as like a search function, and that's really how you want to think of using hashtag. It's drawing together a conversation that may not necessarily be in a thread, but you guys are all talking about the same thing, okay? And that's how you want to use it. What was David saying? You want them to discuss it openly and even piggyback on it, as long as you've just got the most brand affinity for that tag. So here's the thing, right? When you're starting to use your hashtag, you guys do want to do your research on it. You want to find out, how is it being used by anybody? When was the last time they used it? Because maybe it was something that got used 2-3 years ago. Well, then nobody really cares. If your hashtag hasn't been used in that long, I mean, honestly, even if it hasn't been used in like a month, I'd jump on it. As long as you're going to use it consistently, and it's kind of like taking over the brand, right? Could you give an example? Give an example of which one, of how to use a hashtag, or how do you know if it's used? Okay, one way to find out if a hashtag is used depends on what brand you're on. Hey, Sharon Gray. Oh, thank you, Renee. I really appreciate that. Another way that you can show your thank you is by telling a little birdie out there, sharing it out there. Well, I think for you guys it's over there. But anyway, so the question is Pursue Create. Could you tell me, give an example of how to use it or how to research it? Because I can answer that question I just want to make sure I'm answering your specific question. I'm trying to get that in there. A microphone's getting in the way of my coffee drinking. Okay, so the way, depending on what platform you're on, okay? If you're on Instagram, I would use, you can actually use several different research tools, okay? Hashtagify me, hashtagify.me is a great way to see if you already have an idea in your mind, like, oh, I want to use Scope with John, right? Now it's actually a really bad one because nobody but me really uses that one. But if you're trying to string together several hashtags on what to use, how to promote that, or how to so if you think of like coffee is a really good one, okay? Coffee, there's like 3.4 million searches or posts about coffee using the hashtag coffee on Instagram, okay? So you go to hashtagify.me, so hashtagify me. You would put coffee in, and what that tool does, it shares the top related. So people that post with the hashtag coffee, they use this tool, and it shows the top related hashtags. And by related meaning the people that post with the hashtag coffee also post with these other hashtags. So we're going to make the assumption that because somebody posts about coffee, that when they post about coffee, they're also going to be talking about maybe coffee mugs, cafes, work, morning, tired. Maybe those are good examples. Now, I haven't done that. I'm thinking about that. But that's a good example of words that are not necessarily specifically coffee, but they're coffee related because of how people are using the word. Most businesses do awful jobs of marketing via hashtags. Yep, that's right. And so you as a smaller business, assuming that you're not like a huge corporation, as smaller businesses, guys, do the work on the hashtag. And once you get a strategy down, once you figure out how to do it, keep using it, drive it, and you're going to create a trend for your business. Not like a top trend like on Twitter. You said 44,000 unless you're like really good and you guys get it going. But the whole point really is that if you guys are small enough that you guys can implement it fast and use it and get better results. But what else? In order for a hashtag campaign to work, you've got to really engage your brand ambassadors. Yep, that's right. And people on your list without them seeing the campaign. If I'm the only person that ever scopes with my hashtag Scope with John, which for the most part I am right now, but I have to understand it really is just me. And I did it as a way to find the other people that were participating, tweeting out my scopes, so that I can follow them, comment, and thank them for being a part of my scope. Okay, that was the original intent on that. So that would probably be my first example, my personal example on how to use a hashtag in a campaign. Okay, although in some ways you can actually really think about that Scope with John really is actually it's a content tweet, it's a content hashtag because it's really specific to that thing. But when you have enough of them, it starts to feel more like it's a campaign where you can follow. You can find. So if you do a scope, search for Scope with John, you can find all the other people that have been on the shows, that have retweeted, that have commented with those things, and it's a really great way to be interactive. So if you guys it doesn't even matter if it's a show, like we do with this, right? But it's a really great way for you guys to be able to take your brand and get started. Start some brand awareness. Start like a small campaign. Start with something that people are going to be able to share. They're going to be able to understand. And by using like tools like hashtagify.me, you're able to find out what people are using for a hashtag and start attaching your hashtag with other brands that are, or with other hashtags that are related. And you're going to start to be able to find who the other people are and how they use it. Another tool that I don't use personally, but I know people that do, is called RightTag, and it's righttag.com. Okay, the intent is really to be able to choose the best hashtags, and it provides some reporting aspects for it. But that's another one. It's Seesaw. That's the word, but it's SEES.AW. That's another one. And that really kind of comes up more like almost like the Hootsuite, where you have like the different streams, or but it shows it a little bit more visually rather than like a list or something like that. That's another one. Socialmention.net is another good tool to be able to use. These are all just hashtag research tools, and you need to. I don't want to tell you how to use them. I want you to go on and actually use them and find out which ones work. Okay. What about a broad subject? Okay. So a broad subject, we're just going to keep using the coffee example. Coffee is a very broad subject, okay? Like I said, just on Instagram, there's like 3.4 million posts about coffee using that specific hashtag, okay? So what I would share with you in this, okay, is a great way, I think, to be able to bring, to make yourself relevant within that hashtag is to have engaging content. Okay, that's just, it's a no-brainer. But now that you've already developed the engaging content, how are you going to market it? We're just saying use hashtags. So if you're going to be talking about coffee, like, I might, like, hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Get your, like yesterday, I think was like national, or the 29th was like International Coffee Day or something like that, or at least it was nationally in the US. I mean, how great is that? I love coffee. I mean, I was all over that. I was liking, commenting, and stuff like that. So the broader conversation was about Coffee Day, or International Coffee Day, or coffee. And you would use the main hashtag to get some traction. But I would suggest starting to use other smaller niche hashtags for that content. Pardon me. Using some of the smaller niche hashtags, it will shrink the audience so that people, if there's only, like, I think I gave this example, like coffee's like 3.4 million, but coffee mug is like only 371,000 searches just on Instagram. I'm just using Instagram because it's so easy for me. That's one of my favorite platforms. So I can put those together. So it's hashtag coffee mug. And that's a great way. Now, another way to do that is actually to combine hashtags in one. Now, it doesn't search each one. What you end up doing, you do things like coffee and mug are actually two separate hashtags. But when you put them together, you get a smaller niche audience. And but when you want to research it to find out who's using those smaller niche ones, how are they related? And when you start to combine those two, you'll start to it's almost like creating like an address. So when I want people to search for restorable living, I use the hashtag restorable living. Okay, and now people that want to know, they'll just put in, we'll search for restorable living, and all the stuff will start to come up as it. Okay, and with the National Coffee Day companies like Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kremes, we're all trying to capitalize on, and that's a really good example of a trending hashtag. Okay, that International Coffee Day, and I forget exactly what the hashtag was, but it might actually be like Coffee Day or INT or INTL. I think that's International Coffee Day. So people, they would use that, and Twitter actually does a really good job of showing you what those are, and Instagram at their last update did the same thing. They just do it visually, and it's so much more engaging. If you guys have downloaded or updated the Instagram app, when you do the search function, it ends up being, and I will be able to do this here really quickly because I have it on my phone. Not that you can have it really anywhere else, but when you do the search function, it will actually show you it will actually show you the trending tags. And I don't know if you guys can see that. How high tech is that, right? Now you guys can't read it, but those top ones right there, I just jumped on. Those are all top, and it goes through. Now Instagram just does it pictorially. Twitter does it. It's on the right side for me. This is the right side. It's on the right side of the page. You'll see the trending topics. Facebook is now actually doing it too, showing you the top topics, because they do it because they want you to engage more on their platform, not because they're necessarily providing more information. But that's a really good example of how to do it. So if you guys have like a health and wellness or a fitness, or if you guys are a food or chef, you can use these topics. You can use these strategies to develop a hashtag or a series or a set of hashtags that will get you close to closer to your audience. And that's really what you need to be able to do. And what's really nice, because if you're a small business, or you're handling it more personally, you don't have to go through committees. You don't have to, you don't have to go through like a 20-step process for approval to be able to use a hashtag, which is absolutely ridiculous. It literally is. That's so counterintuitive to what a hashtag is. Hashtags need to be current. They need to be relevant. They need to be easy to use. That you need to be able to adjust from what's happening now. And if you can't do it, just come up with like 3 or 4 hashtags and just post those. Don't or don't use them at all. Because otherwise you're really just going to be adding noise. And so, having said that, also guys, don't just like destroy the hashtag feed by dumping 30 of them in. Okay, just don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not going to help. You're not actually adding value to it. So it is. I hope that really, guys, answers a lot of your guys' questions. So that's really one of the things that I wanted you guys to be able to do. Now, do you guys have any other questions? I mean, I'll be able to. Even if you want to hop on, obviously, guys, and this was something we talked about yesterday, don't be afraid to hop on, all right? Don't be afraid. Believe it or not, people are actually not judging you, because if you're a certain way, I guarantee you there's going to be a whole bunch of other people that are in the same situation. So don't think that like your questions aren't dumb, unless they really are dumb. But I'll tell you, and that's okay. We'll probably just laugh together. No, but seriously, ask your questions. Be a part of it. I was horrible and still got props for my first show. Absolutely, right? No, you can be, because it's such a new thing. Blab is one. It's very welcoming, guys. This is literally my 3rd Blab. I just started on Monday. Today, I know I started on Tuesday. Which day did I start on? I think it was Tuesday. Or my first Blab. I actually didn't even record. So maybe this is my 4th one. I started on Monday. That's right. I did start on Monday and totally forgot to record it. So we missed all of that excellent, great content. But I mean, even so, like doing this, starting these and getting on board, guys, this is really the way to do it. Hop on. It's a great way to learn, ask questions. It's a way to develop a new skill. It's a way to connect with new people. So I always say, guys, if you have anything to say, hop on. Let's talk about maybe some hashtag use, maybe using it now in different ways. If you build it, they will come. But it sure does help when they jump in a box. No questions. Or I would, right? I was your first guinea pig. That's right. I'm having you on, guys. Like I at this point right now, I haven't like scheduled any guests. Just because we're carrying the conversation over from Periscope, and usually there's a lot of people on. But what no questions, and especially if you're new, it is a fast-paced technology. I think the uses are coming on, in the ways to use the hashtags, the ways to use video streaming, the ways to develop hey, thanks. Good to see you. Right. Thanks for joining, guys. I will be on Blab. I think of right now. I just made the commitment to be on Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. We'll have some. And if you guys are interested, please send a message out to me. Be a part of the community. Don't be afraid to ask, or you can ask me. Even you can follow me on Twitter and DM me there. That is perfectly fine. I don't take offense to it. And so I would just really encourage you guys to be thinking in those terms. Now. I wanted to see. I think there was just a couple more things I wanted to mention to you guys on how to use hashtags. Okay, understanding the hashtags are a way just to simply communicate your in a searchable form your idea and your brand. Okay, so you want to be able to do this in 3 very simple areas. Okay, you want to be able to do it communicating your brand or a specific campaign. and that campaign being a longer set of conversation, a longer set of advertisement. You want to be able to do that. You want to be able to use content-specific hashtags. Not every post, not every tweet, not every picture that you do has to have a brand hashtag in it. Sometimes just the fact that you're tweeting it is part of your brand and it becomes searchable that way when they're on your feed, okay? But use content relevant hashtags. Limit them to say, if you're on Twitter, maybe say 1 or 2 at the most. Don't drop 4, 5, 6. You're actually going to kill the searchability because of how long, how much space people have, how many characters people have to tweet. So if you fill up all of the tweet space, all those characters with hashtags, hoping to be more searchable, people aren't going to retweet it because they can't use all the hashtags. And I don't, honestly, like if I can't do it, it's a pain in the butt to try to decide which hashtags you're going to delete, in order to get your message in. So guys, really just be careful about it when you're doing the retweet, when you're adding your hashtags. So be very careful. And so like a really good example of how not to use hashtags literally is my topic today. Hashtagging every single word in there, how not to use hashtags, okay? It's a really good example. Pick and choose the ones. So, in our title, you would really only want to hashtag maybe hashtags because that's the relevant, it's kind of like using bold in a title, right? In your Twitter, in your Instagram. But when it comes to, so that was with Twitter. Now in Instagram, I'll just share with you guys, you can use maybe 3, 4. I've seen some people, use 11. That's fine. Like that's the most you want to use. Play around with it, but be consistent. Don't, put a set out there and then drop one. Okay. Rotate one in and out until you find a set that seems to get a lot more traction. Okay. And that means that you're going to have to be thinking about your brand and your campaign. What are you trying to communicate as a whole? Okay. Working from home. I know we have a work from home mom, or if that's your brand, or if you're fitness. Okay. If you're health, if you're eating, guys, use the hashtags, do your research and put together a series of hashtags that people are going to start seeing you on consistently, because this way you can post. Like on Restorable Living, we talk about family, we talk about fun, we talk about food, we talk about these things, and we consistently use certain hashtags and people are starting to follow us. All right, so we have a question. What about on Instagram? Adding hashtags in a comment in place of the caption. It's still searchable. I think, flashback to 2009. Oh, I can't wait I got to see this. I'm going to bring this up. I can't wait to see it. Using hashtags in the comments is still searchable unless they've decided to change that. Okay. Okay. So to answer your question, yes, use them. Oh, Dave, what are you using? All this, this is working. Sorry. This site is at the top of the search feed. And by making the link to our site, you need, this phrase, we're creating the bond between them and I. I love it. Don't you love it when you get quoted? You're still quoted and it's still relevant years later. Every day he sees at least 100 people coming to the site via Twitter. Yep. And Dave, one thing I haven't even talked about, just because I'm not really knowledgeable, I don't really use it, is Google Plus. And I wonder, like, how usable are hashtags on Google Plus in the title and in the comments and stuff like that. I'm not that familiar with Google Plus. I would imagine that they're completely integrated and searchable and things like that. 2009. That's like ancient history online now, isn't it? Man, 2009. They remove hashtag support from Google Plus, even though technically it will still work. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. That's a very interesting thing, and that's good to know. As Google, and everybody wants to tell you that Google Plus is going to be dying, or it's dead, or it's on the way out. I don't really know, but I think it's one of the things that we love to hate as marketers, right? Google is, I think, viewed it as keyword stuff. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a really good. Dave. That's actually a really good thing to bring up. Keyword stuffing, hashtag stuffing. I've heard it a couple of different ways, but really, essentially, what it is, you're loading, and Google now, like, lowers your rank. It's a bad mark against you when you're using hashtags that way. So if you're going to be talking about a certain topic, they want to see that you're using hashtags in a way that is beneficial. That's not spam. But when you put in coffee, so if you were to do a search and take the top 10 or 30 hashtags mentioning the word coffee, and I'll stick them in your post or your picture, that would be considered keyword or hashtag stuffing. Okay, and that just, it's bad. That's you look like a spammer, because that's what spammers do. Yeah, I've done this for far too long. Yeah, well, but it's still relevant, and by talking about a long time, Dave, you really get to a point where it's comfortable, and you know you're it's like meeting and talking about like the same old, but for a lot of people, they don't even have the basics down, and I want to. This is one of the things that I aim to do, is to talk about the old topics with new ideas, or with in a new way, so that the people that are just starting out, or people that feel really frustrated or confused by it, they're able to get it, they're able to understand it, and be able to use it the right way. Because I really want to try to educate people and help people along in terms of being able to go, hey, maybe there is a good way for you guys to do it, but by maybe teaching them the wrong, here's the wrong way to use it, so don't do it this way. Like, for instance, don't, well, I guess for you guys, don't do a hashtag title like I did. And I do, obviously you guys know I do it for a reason. Okay, so what were you saying, hashtags work on Instagram. When I post on a food photo, they use the word food porn, and I get hearts almost immediately. Also receive a few new followers as well. That's a good example. I mean, I haven't done any research on that word, on that hashtag word. And again, that's a good example of you're combining two separate words to form a new type of hashtag, right? And so when you're doing that and following a brand, that's okay. Invent one. Invent a hashtag. Maybe that's never been used before, but put that together with recognized ones, Shay, and I think you'll get really good results in it. And understand, guys, that hashtags on a tweet are different than SEO word, or SEO tags that you would use on your website. And here's the reason why I think is that these tweets, tweets and Instagram photos, they have a very short shelf life, as opposed to a web page, which goes up, and the intent is that it's there for it's the idea is that it's permanent. It's there, and based on those hashtags, on those tags, that it's meant to be very long term. So it's almost like more like an index to a book, rather than like a, hey, what's everybody else talking about? And that's the difference that I would think of. Would you write your title? Would you write? Oh, I'll write it. That would be how I would do it, except I would capitalize the use in hashtags. That's how I would write this title effectively. Okay, the shelf life of a tweet is minuscule. Yep. If you look at stats, your tweet, only a small percentage of your followers ever see them. Yep, that's true. Mm-hmm. Blog posts, on the other hand, can be evergreen. Yes, Dave, you say exactly what I was meaning. The whole intent of having a web page, and particularly with blogging and things like this, and Dave is really an expert in this field, is to be thinking in terms of like this. Your blog is your home base. So the things that you post there, you need to be thinking long-term and permanent. That's why blogging is not an overnight thing. You don't just put 4 blog posts up and then all of a sudden, like for instance, JonathanTripp.com just started out, right? I just put it together. I essentially stole. No, I bought the domain name, JonathanTripp.com. It came up, I bought it, and I started to put together the idea of what I wanted to put on the page. We have our blogging boot camp and things like this, and I launched it. I launched it with 4 blog articles, okay? And I put those particular 4 blog articles up. One, because it shows a diversity of posts. But I'm not going to take those posts down. At least I'm not intending to ever. I want those to be up forever. I always want them to be there. And so when I post them, I'm going to post them with particular hashtags and things that I want people to be able to be searchable for and understand. Unlike, and almost completely the opposite of my tweets or my Instagram pictures. My Instagram pictures are up there. It's searchable. All 600 of them or whatever the case is, right? But my tweets are really short. I forget what what the length of it, but it really is. You think in minutes for a tweet. The shelf life of like a tweet is literally in minutes. Let me see if they give it. I think it probably depending on their feed, but I know it's measured in minutes. Instagram is you can kind of think, and if you follow the demographic, you'll see maybe for about 15 minutes, it really gets most of the likes, but over the course of after an hour, you typically get no more interaction unless someone's going back through your feed. But as a brand new content, you need to be thinking about that. So it's minutes to hours, and then basically forever. I need to drink more coffee this morning. But if you take your instruments and load them into a public Google album with captions and links, those images will be much wider viewership. That's a really great point. And I hadn't really thought of putting them into a Google album in that regard. I know that a lot of people, they will send it out, whether it's or they specifically upload it, and so I know people they repurpose their content, but that's a great way to get a little bit more basically traffic from content you've already produced. And that kind of brings up a really good point, and I think one of the points that I make overall is that you guys need to find methods that produce the biggest results or the best. It's kind of like you pick the low-hanging fruit first. So putting some hashtags out there, as long as they're relevant, is good. And as you're doing it, you're going to just start to develop your brand. You're going to start developing, what you're trying to do. And so, some Robert C. Stern, he was on yesterday, and he was talking about how he works with his clients, and he says, look, he's very calendar driven. So he'll do an entire week, and he has a theme in his week. And he's not, so everything that week, and so he's talking about Facebook this week. Pretty much everything he does is some way related to Facebook. And that's a good way to think about it. So maybe, for you guys, and I've done this with some people that I've worked with, is I encourage them, come up with a theme. And we're not talking like a campaign as in, Brian yesterday was talking about a campaign where you hop, when you hop on this campaign, you start this campaign. He says you need to be thinking in like 3 to 6 months for a campaign. I'm thinking like a campaign this is the topic that you're going to be talking about several times in a period of time. So how does the script process work? Subscription process work? In which platform? And by the way, I don't even know your name. Pursue Create. Do you have a name in there? I don't know. I don't even know your name. So help me with that. Just flesh out your question a little bit more, okay? So I think I don't know if that was answering your question, but having that campaign and putting it together over the course of a week is a good starting point. And honestly, most of the time when you're just starting out, content strategy. We talked a lot about this yesterday. Content strategy, putting this together, you can actually, when you're just starting out, just put it on the page. Pull out a page. Talk about, plan out like each day, not necessarily having a brand new blog topic every day, but come up, what's the theme? So we're going to talk about Facebook, okay? We're going to be talking about this or that. Oh, I was wondering if he was going to come in. Subscription, Blab subscription.
I'm just popping in to say hi.
Let's see if we can. I can't hear you yet. I don't know if this is what I've actually had this a lot. People hop on, they can't speak, or they can't hear. But it's okay. If you need to fix it, I have a seat reserved for you. It's always going to be that one. But you heard him? Was it me?
Maybe can't hear me still. No audio.
Oh, it is me. Oh, okay. Is there something wrong with my feed?
Don't you just love technology? It just never works as planned.
Is that better?
Maybe can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. I think that one little section I need to replug in. Anyway, Dave, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, no, it's my pleasure. I think the topics of hashtags is just it's a funny thing that it's now like coming full circle again. But like I was saying earlier, I think so many brands do it so poorly because they put it out there and they think, oh, well, if I just create a hashtag marketing strategy, it'll just take care of itself. And they don't realize that really it's kind of like the last step in having a content strategy and a marketing strategy, where it's all centered around a hashtag that people can latch onto and become part of the conversation. But they haven't taken all the steps to go to that point yet. They just think, oh, I'll just put out a hashtag and start putting content around it, and that creates itself, and it doesn't.
Yeah. And I brought this topic up mainly because I have a number of people that are new in the online business, and they're like, John, it's so weird to me. They don't even know what a hashtag. They know what a hashtag is, but they have no idea how to use it. And I said, but I actually tell them this way. I said, well, then you are set. You are perfect in the place to use a hashtag, because you don't have to unlearn a bad habit. One,
right?
And I think that versus like a lot of like larger businesses, like where I kind of joke about it, where they have to send like a hashtag through a committee, and it's got to go through like 15 layers of management and be approved, and then finally it might get implemented, and this is just like a trending topic, and like it's like 2 weeks old now.
Right.
And that's what I really like about using hashtags now, and if you use them appropriately, where you just put a little bit of thinking out. I mean, who can't plan for like a week in terms of like, hey, this week we're going to talk about Instagram. Okay, well, what are some topics about? Okay, so Monday we're going to talk about like picture, picture generating. We're going to talk about caption. We're going to talk about syndicating and hashtag. It's all part of it. And if you put it together in a certain way, you can create your almost like not really a top trending, but you can create a hashtag set that people know you for, at least for that week, and they can click on that one and they'll search for that. I mean, that's one of the reasons. Now mine is a little bit longer, but the content and brand are both it's Scope with John. That's my hashtag for my Periscopes. And people are able to go back through Twitter and such like that, and be able to go, you just type in, hashtag Scope with John. You'll be able to see all the people that are involved, all the conversations we've had, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the way it's supposed to be going.
Well, I mean, I think if you go on Instagram, there's one, My365 is a good hashtag, and one that I've used. And there's two brands that I know that have been using it, but it's part of their long-term content strategy. So they actually have put together a content strategy about it, and they're creating a hashtag that people can latch onto and contribute to, and it keeps the conversation around that hashtag. And it's not necessarily about the brand, but it's people contributing to this hashtag, which keeps that hashtag alive and keeps their affiliation to that hashtag alive. And that's, that's where it comes down to. You don't just make a post and throw out a hashtag or two. I mean, you can do that if you want to capitalize on the search value of people who are following that hashtag. But if you have a hashtag strategy, that hashtag strategy is really about your content strategy. And that does take time. That does take, 3 months out, 6 months out, and figuring out, what's your content calendar? What's your content strategy going to be? And then how are you taking it from your social media channels to your evergreen posts and back and forth?
Mm-hmm. So, because I was talking about the hashtags for people to be thinking in these three kind of more like three uses or three kind of categories of use. We talked about the brand and the campaign, and those are really, really broad. We talked about like the really actually content specific, and I kind of gave the difference between restorable living versus so when I take a picture of me doing my Periscopes or something like that, and I have like a coffee mug in my hand or something like that. It's restorable living, which is one of our brands, as opposed to coffee mug, which is the content relation, or like coffee mug Virginia, because here I'd be at a cafe in Virginia. We talk about using the content versus the brand, and then the other one that I was talking about, really, I think that it pretty much can all fall into this. The other one is like as a trending, as opposed to as opposed to the brand, but you're using like a top trending something it's almost like you're catching the wave. way of what everybody else is doing. And you don't want to use them all at the same time. It's not like a formula. Well, if I put my brand in here, I put a top trending this, and then I put a content, everything's going to be okay, and I'm going to have hashtag success. I know it doesn't work like that. So, do you think that's maybe did I miss one like a different way to use them?
No, I think those are good. I mean, I think part of it is that businesses really need to figure out how they're going to capitalize on that conversation. And it is about creating conversation. Social media is about creating conversation. And that's unfortunate that most people don't realize that it's a conversation in social media. And a hashtag is really your way to associate that conversation. And build that conversation around a term or a phrase that's unique to you if you want it to be. And they missed that part. But I unfortunately need to drop off, but just want to pop in and say hi.
Dave, I really appreciate it. It's always good to have you, man.
Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right. I know somebody had asked a question, and how do you subscribe, guys? If you're brand new to Blab, the way you can do it, you subscribe is click on the person's name, and a little box should come up. Or if you're on the web, you click on the name, the person's box comes up, and it should be either it's a check mark, or it says either follow in purple, or you'll see like the outline of a person with a plus under it. Subscribe to them, and that's a good way. That's a very easy way to do it. So I hope I answered your question. I hope before you do it. Okay. I'll open up. Make sure you guys know I open up the seat. If you guys have something you guys want to ask or want to be able to hop on and just go, hey John, I really don't understand this, or it's a really good way. It's a really kind of a fun way for you guys to be able to ask your questions and participate. So I know there is a lot to say about hashtags, and depending on the platform that you're on, I think you're going to use hashtags slightly differently. That's why, as Dave was kind of saying, it's like what you want to do is you're creating, you're participating, you're creating a way for your audience to connect. And Dave is really, really big on this, and I appreciate that, because his mantra that I've heard from him time and time again is about creating an engagement for your audience in a very specific way. It's not just the really big brands, sometimes they just say something like a celebrity. They just say something and people are like, oh, this is great. Periscopers are actually pretty famous for this. Actually, there's a couple of them where they just get on and they're literally walking their dog, they're brushing their teeth, they're washing they're doing laundry. I've seen it all. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I'm doing laundry, and it's like, really, people are but they have a celebrity following. Now, I think those are the exceptions to the rule. But I think the idea is there where some brands are big enough where they just put anything out, people just follow it. I'm pulling clothes now right now, right? Right? Well, then do a Periscope about it and say, folding laundry, come watch me. Or, right? But my real point is that they're creating content that people want to consume because of the brand. We don't actually do that. Normally my office is a better setup. I wasn't sure if that was Dave. I wasn't sure if that was your kids or that was my kids in the background. I just couldn't hear it. But we come to a point in our business as we're developing and syndicating out, getting the word out, sharing it, making our content shareable, that we have to really consider the use of hashtags, the best way to interact with the audience once they start to do that. Because, I think a lot of times when we put together a hashtag strategy, or we just think about using it, we just use it and put it out there. And we never think about the follow-up. Oh, is that what yours? That's funny. We never think about the follow-up. Okay, so we use the hashtag. We're kind of asking the question, right? We're getting noticed. Somebody replies. Have we thought about how we want them to reply? Have we thought about what the thing is that we're trying to get them to do? Like today, I used the hashtags in the title because I want people to come in that are interested about hashtags. Okay. Now, I'll be honest with you. I really didn't expect this to be a very big blab, because a lot of people feel they already know a lot. But I put this thing together. What are the goals of your content strategy and your hashtag strategy? Yeah. And we always, but now I'm going to share this with you. And I'll probably come back to that later. I think with a lot of new people that are online, or people that are struggling with their online business, or they just don't feel like they're getting traction, I think a lot of them need to get back down to the basics in terms of, okay, let's just start again. Let's just think about this. What do I want to do? What are the goals that I want to achieve? and when do I want to try to achieve, when am I going to achieve them by? Okay, we need to think in those terms. And then you're going to use the content strategy as the overall arching. How am I going to share my content with the world? And the hashtag strategy needs to 100% support those goals. If it doesn't, you're not using them correctly, and you need to not do that. Because any of those things that aren't specifically pushing your to try to achieve your business goal or to achieve whatever the content strategy that you're, if they're not achieving this, not pushing that, then it's going to detract from that. Okay, because everything needs to be focused, even if it's in a conversational a style. You need to be purposeful with your hashtags. Don't just use the top 30 or top 10 or whatever, because it's actually going to detract from your brand. Okay. So do your research. I've talked about a couple of the research tools, but it doesn't end with that. And this is the part of the content strategy that you can take it, and it takes your business and it takes your strategy to the next level. It's not just about syndication. It's about how you're going to interact with them. So if you ask a question, you need to be thinking about, well, typically, how would I expect people to answer it? This, and this. Okay, now that you've done that, where do you want that kind of a question and that kind of a conversation to go? And it's not that you're being controlling, it's just that you're planning ahead. Okay. Oh yeah, exactly. That are what goals in your, yeah. And I already read that one. So guys, I want you to be thinking in those terms with your hashtags, because it's not just a put it out there and hope it flies. I mean, maybe when you're first starting, yes, you just, it's like, just get something out. Something is usually better than than nothing. Another way I've heard it is you build the plane as you fly it. Okay. And I think there's some truth to that, but at the same time, you're building the plane, but it's a plane. You're not just like putting parts together and, somehow, well, let's just see what happens. And then, you've built a car instead, No, if you have a plane, you have your brand, your business, you're building your business, you're building it as you go. You don't build the business. And then, that's called a franchise. And I think almost none of you guys here have a franchise or are interested in building a franchise. Okay. My whole point really is that you're developing your content as you do it. Okay, with the lifestyle, with when you're using those top trending things. Okay, you're putting things together in a way that feel fresh, but that you've thought about them before. I've done this as a test, as an experiment, actually on my Facebook page, where for a good solid 2 or 3 weeks, I had planned out my content. I had the times, I had the comments, I had thought about who I was expecting to be able to respond to this and like, and I was seeing my engagement go up. I was seeing the questions come in, and we'll be able to work with some different people. And then as part of the experiment, I stopped all of my real scheduled plan, and I just kind of posted more haphazardly. Will you do more blabs? Yeah, I blab every day, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock here Eastern time. So I went from a very planned to just kind of more haphazard, and I posted throughout the day different media. It just wasn't so planned. It wasn't purposeful. It wasn't thought out, and I watched my engagement literally die before my eyes. Okay, and we're actually still kind of ramping up, but I wanted to do that because I want to see how real and how tangible it was to actually get engagement, and I think that's a really important thing to do. Not that you have to kill your own Facebook fan page, but the whole point is that when you have a content strategy, you put it in place, be consistent and follow it. Do it, maybe just write out do a short campaign for like a week. Think about what you want to talk about, and then do the research and find out what the hashtags are that you're going to be using that are going to support that campaign and that strategy overall. Stephanie, let's see here. See if I can get you in here. All right, let's see.
Good morning.
Oh, there we go, Stephanie.
How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing today? Where are you coming from?
I'm in California.
Okay,
Santa Monica,
so you're kind of still just morning out. This is your morning.
Yeah, and I'm just waking up, so
that's all right.
Haven't even had my first cup of coffee yet. I'm just making it now. But
maybe that needs to be a rule. Before you come on, you have to have your first, or at least in hand. But anyway, yeah, do you have a question or a comment? Or
I have a question. So I know about hashtags with Facebook because I have a very specific hashtag I always use. Mm-hmm. I follow a lot of mentors, and I have a couple of mentors I love particularly. And so I have a hashtag, mentors are the key to success. And after every time I talk about a mentor of mine, I do that. And so it's kind of cool. So I kind of, and I have a business, a brick and mortar business. And so I have a hashtag there for my business, and then it'll link you to our, business page. But I just kind of did a test while you were talking, and I did a little, I tweeted a hashtag with my business name, and it took me over. So I thought maybe it would link to went actually to my business partner's Twitter page, because her name is Tony at Oasis Palisades, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's not cool. I don't know. So if you hashtag something, I didn't understand why it did that. Like, why would it go to her? Like, her name on Twitter is Tony at Oasis Palisades. So when I hashtagged Oasis Palisades, which is the name of our business, it took me over to her Twitter page.
It's probably, it might have actually changed it. You need to make sure that the hashtag is actually the hashtag and not the @ sign. It may have auto-corrected. That would be my first thought.
But I don't know that it's linked to my business. I just was doing a test while you were on.
Sure. And what will happen is that, and this is on Twitter, is that right?
Yeah, Twitter.
Okay. So when you type out your message in Twitter and you use a hashtag, it will automatically, you'll see it kind of like become like a hyperlink. It becomes a link, in essence. Okay. And so when you're using that, and here, you know what? Let's see here. So what was the hashtag that you used?
Hashtag Oasis Palisades.
Oasis. Yep, and I see that she came up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't get that because her name is Tony at Oasis Palisades and she hasn't done a tweet in over a year. I just noticed. Bad her.
Right. Well, I think this is probably what happened. It probably auto-corrected. Let's see here. No, it didn't. I'm looking at the tweets you just did, because you actually did one on August 25th, 2014, and you just did one 11 minutes ago. The hashtag, it's very similar, and for me, when it brings it up, it actually says there's an account that has a very similar name. It's kind of going, oh, well, you hashtag this. Maybe you also want this related topic. It's always going to give you an account because they want you to engage more users. Okay. But it didn't actually go to her page. That tweet is a separate. So it's Oasis Palisades is a wellness center. We offer acupuncture, massage, and organic facials. I am a massage therapist.
Mm-hmm. I tweet better things than that.
No, that's fine. No, it's a great message. No, it really is, because it's right to the point. You use the Oasis Palisades. That is a brand hashtag. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now,
so I was hoping to link to my website, but it didn't.
Because you haven't used that. I mean, how many? Those are the top ones. Let's see here. Yeah, there are 2 tweets with that. Okay, and so think of it more like it's like a search, but they're going to keep it within this. Now, if you start doing, if you have a Twitter account that uses that hashtag, as the name. Mm-hmm. Then instead of using the hashtag, or you can use it combined, where you're going to talk about what the Twitter account is and the hashtag. Another way to do it is use the hashtag, and then you put the specific link, or like a bit.ly link or a shortened link in there. Okay, mm-hmm. And then when people are searching for it for whatever reason, I mean, and again, I would just be careful that using that particular one, obviously, there's no one searching for it specifically, or there's no tweets about it. I should say it like that. There's no tweets about it.
Right.
You could use that as a brand, but then you want to use another hashtag or something that's engaging. So you might want to put hashtag acupuncture or massage. Use one of those 2 as a more popular word that people are going to be able to associate that word with Oasis Palisades, and then direct them, put your link to your site as a way to, oh, they saw this. Oh, well, you might like this. Oh, here's how to get there. It's kind of like, it's not an exact science formula. It's see what works and kind of play around with it. But the hashtag isn't going to link to your website.
Okay. So hashtags on Twitter are pretty much a lot different than hashtags on Facebook in a sense.
Yes, because what Facebook will do, you'll type in, like on Facebook, you'll type in Oasis and it will want to link to that fan page.
Exactly.
Because here's the reason why. It's because the fan page is hosted on Facebook. You don't have a fan page hosted on Twitter. You might have an account. Well, then you need to use the @ and do that. But that's more like mentioning somebody than it is about a link to somebody's website or something like that. You would actually need to use a full out, use a hyperlink to the website. Does that make more sense?
Well, yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
It's just still confusing because, I need hand-holding for lots of things.
I believe me, I understand. And so just think of it in general terms. Hashtags are more like a search term. What you saw on Facebook actually is a link. It turns the word into a link. Twitter does not do that because you don't. So
maybe if I specialize in oncology massage, maybe I should hashtag oncology massage. So if people are looking for that, I don't know. Do people really look for things?
You would have to research it. And Hashtagify Me is one of those websites. I'm trying to think of a couple others that I know that are pretty easy. Tagboard is actually another good one to use. So tagboard.com, Hashtagify Me. So it's hashtagify.me. Those are two things. Those are two better hashtag research tools so that you can see how popular the search is, but then also what other words are being used in conjunction with that. Because oncology and massage is my guess, it's probably not a really big topic. However, because people that are wanting to learn about, wanting to find an oncology massage, that's like, because it's so specific, use it. You're going to find people that are looking for that, and you using that, it's like a one-to-one match. You're going to find the people that are looking for that. But if you put in massage, you're going to find everybody that's looking for any kind of massage that's out there.
Right.
That may not be a good thing for your brand.
Right. So do you also know a lot about Facebook hashtags or just Twitter hashtags?
Facebook hashtags to me are more like search terms. And they don't use it quite the same way that I think everybody else does. I love it.
I have to say hello.
With a hashtag, holy cow, you're not kidding. Actually,
this
is that
girl
really,
has a proper everything. Oh, hi, Sandra. I love Sandra.
I wanted to say hello, Jonathan, because I'm into the hashtag thing.
You are into hashtag. Well, then we're on the right show together here today.
You know, it's funny. My first thought when I saw that, Sandra, was your intention board, because she has this like intention board, and it looks just like that. How to every morning create your intentions. So she's doing a dual purpose here.
I'm gonna keep it on me, John, so you don't see my dirty kitchen behind me.
You know what? If you look carefully, you can see my kids running by, and I've already had them visit 3 times during my blab. It's really quite amazing.
So first of all, I'm Sandra Centorino. I saw Stephanie. I'd love to meet you, John. And I saw hashtag. I'm not supposed to be on Blab today because I'm working on other things. So I'm only going to stay for like 2 seconds. And I missed your whole entire presentation, but I saw a lot of the comments. And so just to offer the feedback on hashtags. I described the hashtag to my 82-year-old mom in a simple way. She said to me one day, she's on Facebook, Twitter, and Blab now. She says to me one day, what is that pound sign that's always on TV? And I was like, oh, God. So I said to her, and Stephanie's a little bit younger than me, but I said to her, it's like going to the library, Mom. Remember the card catalog? And you would look up Italy, and you would do your report, and all the books would be aggregated in one area. So the way I described to her, it's a place to go that everyone will find you. So my big hashtag is Say It Forward. I actually trademarked my company name, and that's my movement. And so that's how you find someone through that hashtag. And a hashtag can be very powerful, and I just want to tell a quick story about how it helped me in my business, and hopefully it will help Stephanie and maybe inspire you, John. You probably already know this stuff. But so I started a campaign about 2 years ago with kids in school that were taking pictures of themselves holding a positive saying, because I'm all about positivity and my company is Say It Forward. So I went to a teacher at the school and I said to her, I would love to have the kids participate in holding up a positive sign and hashtagging it, Say It Forward selfie, because you know how kids are into selfies, right? So now I want them to hold the positive saying up and use that hashtag. So she's like, I have to clear it through the principal and, let's see what happens. And then, so I didn't hear from her in a long time. So I go up onto social media and constantly check my hashtags. Like I was catching the tail end about Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. It's really big on. So one day I typed in Say It Forward selfie because I had been asking other people to do it. And what pops up and starts to aggregate? 800 kids at Cheshire High using the hashtag Say It Forward selfie and holding up signs with positive messages. So first of all, I nearly fell over. Secondly, are you looking at it?
I am. I just looked it up.
Yeah. So secondly, I nearly fell over. And then I just said, wow, the power of a hashtag. So first of all, the hashtag brought everyone together with their positive message, but they also hashtagged the word respect because that was their theme.
Okay.
So now anyone online that's saying, you know what, I want a quote about respect or I want to learn about respect, guess what's coming up?
They can find it.
So that's
perfect.
That's my little story. Hopefully that inspired you.
No, Sandra, that is exactly the talk. And now you took a phrase, a hashtag phrase. You took a phrase.
Yeah.
You took it from a content idea, made it a brand idea, then continued it on and made a campaign out of it by saying, Say It Forward, and then you made it Say It Forward selfie, which actually became a campaign. And then they were able to use trending topics to support that idea, and it worked together. And that's exactly what I've been, telling people. And so, really, basically, you don't need to watch the whole thing. I'm just going to clip this. I'm just going to put this up to you, guys. Here's like the 30-second clip it. No, but really, basically, Sandra, you showed exactly the way to use it in a way that went outside of just you using it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you, it's other people. And watch how it kind of grew the momentum. And as you continue to do that, it's going to do the same thing and carry momentum forward.
Yeah. Oh, someone just said, I love your energy. I don't even need coffee or chocolate. I just wake up this way, right? So John, it's great to meet you. I'm going to definitely follow you and find out more about what you do.
Thank you.
I'm hearing on Blab, and I have my own show. Stephanie was part of it. It's called Blab Rehab. That's another hashtag.
Okay.
That's all about not people that talk too much. It's about taking our talking too much and turning it into positivity. So we help each other, we lift each other up, we make each other better. And that's really what the show is about. So I've been on Blab 56 days. I've committed to the show since August 24th. My mom was on one of my shows. She's into Blab. She called me this morning. She's like, I've got a black screen. They won't let me click on the open seat. And I'm like, oh shit, what the hell did I create here? So she's inspired. She's like, Dad is so happy he gets the TV now because I'm on Blab all the time. And it's all about giving value and telling stories. I just, I call myself the inspirational expert. I claimed that title like 5 years ago. And I said, you know what? If I can touch one life a day or offer value that will cheer one person up or give one person a tip, that's what I'm about. So I saw hashtag, I saw Stephanie, and here I am.
Great. That is fantastic. I love, honestly, this is my first week on Blab. I started on Monday.
Oh, you're going to go crazy.
It's such a newbie, huh, Sandra?
It's totally nuts. We can team up, John. Maybe we'll just do a hashtag show.
We'll do a hashtag show. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff about social media. And I had so many questions, Sandra, about hashtags, how to use them. And I just thought it'd be more fun to say, don't use them this way. And
I'm following you already.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen you somewhere. We're already connected. So, and I teach women in business primarily. I work with guys too, but primarily my market is like 30 to 60-year-olds. And their big thing, like people say you have to find their pain point. I hear all the time and I cringe. I have a Facebook and a website and I'm all set, Sandra. And I'm just like, hell no, you are not all set. There's more to life, sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, than Facebook and a website. So I teach people to bring their words to life using hashtags, Blab, other resources, because my mantra is it's fun not to be ordinary, because today ordinary isn't good enough. And no matter what you do in life, whatever your business is, there's other people that do that. So you know what? Do you just want to be one of them that blend into the feed? Or do you want to stand out holding a friggin' hashtag prop in the middle of the street somewhere? I'll walk anywhere and talk to anybody about anything. And usually I have some type of little prop with me. So
I have a title for your guys' next show. So you can, because like I say all the time, I'm the type of person who needs the handheld and the really how-to, the ABCD, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, all the way to from start to beginning. So you guys should definitely dual host a show about what, how to show somebody how to do exactly what Sandra's talking about, because I don't get it. So I would love to be in the
Jonathan, if you want, that's great, Stephanie. And there's more people like Stephanie, right?
Right.
When I first went into business, Jonathan, I thought everyone knew what I knew. And I was just like, I don't really have any gifts. People just know this. And besides my mother, who's 82, she's minority. But other people like Stephanie, you would think she's young and in business and she just knows everything. And to come out here and say, you know what, I don't know anything. I need my handheld. Yeah. There's more people like Stephanie. And you know what? If we can find them and inspire them and help their businesses become better, then we're all doing good, right?
Yeah.
Sandra, I need more respect. I'm going to be 50 in 9 days.
Oh, baby. Wow. Yes. You could be
get out of town.
Yeah.
9 days. I'm having a little break on fever, Whew.
Yeah, hot flashes, right? So, Jonathan, if you want to host a show, I would be happy to co-host, and we can get it all fired up. And
can I reach out to you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at Sandra Centorino, which is and you can DM me. I definitely like to hop in. Like again, I was not supposed to be on today, so don't tell anyone I was here. Oh,
it's not being recorded, and it won't get posted to my YouTube channel either. So don't worry.
You can do whatever you want with it. I'll be happy. I keep my clothes on though when I hold the hashtag up. There's nothing crazy.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that, and so does everybody.
I'm sure when you guys do your show, you let me know.
We definitely will. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me on, and you're gonna love it. Just keep doing your thing and
thank you.
Connected to your message. But so I'm gonna bag out. I'm gonna actually go get some work done.
Okay, well, super for that.
Get some work done too.
That's not a problem, because this would be a really great. And I always kind of end it like this, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I do this. I've made a commitment to be doing some Blab. I always start out in my Periscope at 9:30, and then I bring the conversation over here at 10 o'clock. And we Blab, right? We're a part of this. So guys, I really want to thank you both for kind of having the courage, jumping on both setting the example as well as showing others that you can do this without having to be showing your fear. So, but guys, thank you guys so much. Sandra, thank you so much for bringing your hashtag on my show today. I'm going to let you guys go, and we're going to be signing off today here. So thank you guys so much. Again, join me tomorrow, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow, I guess, is our last show for the week. Thank you guys for being a part of it. And if you guys have any questions, direct message us. But make sure you follow these ladies and be a part of their community and lives as well, guys.